Good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to take you on a short journey back in time to explore the fascinating beginnings of the sewing machine. This remarkable invention transformed not only the textile industry, but also the way we think about clothing production, household work, and industrial efficiency. While we may take it for granted today, the sewing machine's path to existence was filled with trial, error, and even legal battles. Let's dive into its story. Before the sewing machine, all clothing, upholstery, and other fabric goods were sewn entirely by hand. Hand sewing had been around for thousands of years, using simple tools like needles made from bone or metal, and thread spun from plant fibers, animal hair, or silk. This process was slow and labor-intensive. An experienced seamstress or tailor might spend many hours, even days, making a single garment. The Industrial Revolution of the late 18th and early 19th centuries brought huge advances in machinery, and naturally, inventors began wondering if sewing could be mechanized. The first known patent for a sewing device was granted to Charles Frederick Weiss, a German inventor living in England in 1755. His design was essentially a double-pointed needle with an eye in the middle, meant to be used with a mechanical aid. However, it was a very basic concept and not a complete sewing machine. Later, in 1790, an English cabinet maker named Thomas Saint received a patent for what is considered the first actual sewing machine design. Saint's machine was intended for leather and canvas, and it used a chain stitch mechanism. Unfortunately, there's little evidence that Saint's invention was ever built, and if it was, it did not reach mass production. In 1829, French tailor Thémanier created the first practical sewing machine that could be used in clothing production. His device, also using a chain stitch, was made mostly of wood and could sew straight seams much faster than hand sewing. In fact, Thémanier opened the first machine-based clothing factory in France to produce military uniforms. However, his success provoked fear and anger among French tailors, who believed the machine would take away their jobs. In 1831, an angry mob destroyed his factory and most of his machines. This incident shows how disruptive new technology can be, and how it often faces resistance before being accepted. Across the Atlantic, inventors in the United States were also working on sewing machine designs. In 1834, Walter Hunt created a lock-stitch sewing machine. Unlike the chain stitch, the lock stitch used two threads, one from the top and one from a shuttle below, creating a much stronger seam. Interestingly, Hunt never patented his invention, reportedly because he feared it would cause unemployment for seamstresses. This hesitation allowed others to push forward. In 1846, Elias Howe, an American inventor, patented his own lock-stitch sewing machine. Howe's design used a needle with the eye at the point and a shuttle carrying the second thread. Initially, Howe struggled to sell his idea, even traveling to England in search of support. When he returned to the United States, he found that other inventors had started producing machines similar to his, leading to years of legal disputes. One of the most famous names in sewing machine history is Isaac Merritt Singer. In 1851, Singer patented an improved version of the sewing machine. His model used a straight needle that moved up and down, a presser foot to hold the fabric in place, and a treadle pedal so the operator could use both hands to guide the material. Singer's genius was not just in engineering, but also in business. He introduced installment payment plans, making his machines affordable to middle-class households. This marketing strategy, along with the machine's efficiency, brought sewing into homes across America and eventually the world. However, Singer's company was quickly caught up in patent lawsuits. Many sewing machine inventors, including Elias Howe, claimed parts of Singer's design violated their patents. The conflict became known as the Sewing Machine War. By 1856, the legal battles were so intense that for major sewing machine companies, including Singer and Howe, formed the sewing machine combination. This was one of the first patent pools in history. The companies agreed to share their patents and collect royalties from other manufacturers, allowing production to move forward without constant lawsuits. This cooperation helped the sewing machine industry grow rapidly. Factories could now produce machines at scale, making them increasingly affordable and reliable. The sewing machine's impact was enormous. In factories, it drastically reduced the time needed to produce garments, fueling the growth of the ready-made clothing industry. In homes, it saved countless hours of manual labor, giving women more time for other activities or income-generating work. The machine also contributed to the expansion of the textile industry, which in turn supported cotton farming, dye production, and shipping industries. It played a role in women's economic empowerment, as many women became skilled operators and even small business owners using sewing machines. The journey from hand-stitching to mechanical sewing was long and full of obstacles. From failed prototypes to factory riots and fierce patent wars. Yet, through persistence, collaboration, and innovation, the sewing machine became one of the most transformative inventions of the 19th century. Today's machines, with their electric motors and computer controls, are far more advanced than those early models. But they still owe their existence to the pioneering inventors like Thomas Saint, Walter Hunt, Elias Howe, and Isaac Singer, whose combined efforts stitched together the history we've explored today. Thank you for listening.